Welcome to the Darkstream. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and unauthorized.tv. Tonight, we need to talk about a serious situation that obviously is evolving, very serious, and frankly, a little bit scary situation for the entire United States. And you know, I'm sure people are wondering what is happening, and you know, we're going to really revisit some of our past thinking in light of the events of recent days. And so I'm sure all of you were just as shocked and horrified as I was by the terrible images that we saw coming out of Washington, D.C. and what we saw happening on Capitol Hill. I'm sure that all of you understand what a grave and totally unprecedented assault on the nation's capital this was. I know that you certainly all stand with great Americans like Rich Lowry and Bill Whittle and Scott Adams, who are aware that this sort of thing is not who we are. So, I just wanted to see what it sounded like to try to shamelessly cuck the way that all of the Republicans and so many of the so-called right-wing opinion leaders. But the thing is that it's true. Congress must impeach President Trump. Nancy Pelosi must impeach President Trump. They have absolutely no choice. They have absolutely no option. I'm going to show you the first of the images here. Democrats ready impeachment charge against Trump for inciting Capitol mob. Nancy Pelosi threatened decisive action against the president for his role in the insurrection against Congress if he refused to resign. So they're absolutely desperate to get President Trump to resign. They're absolutely desperate to try to stop him. Why? Is the mob going to storm the Capitol again? Is the mob going to storm the White House? What's the urgency? If we're to believe the mainstream media, then obviously President Trump is going to be out of office in 12 days. What's the hurry? It's not even possible to impeach a president in 12 days. It's not even possible to force a resignation in a short period of time. Let's have a look here at some of the stuff that if you want to follow along, go to the blog. There is the most recent post there started off as a mailbox and ended up quoting this New York Times piece that I just ran. Let's have a look at it. Democrats laid the groundwork on Friday for impeaching President Trump a second time. Again, what's the point of impeaching someone? They couldn't even get him out of office the first time. As Speaker Nancy Pelosi of California threatened to bring him up on formal charges if he did not resign immediately over his role in inciting a violent mob attack on the Capitol this week. That threat was part of an all-out effort by furious Democrats, backed by a handful of Republicans, to pressure Mr. Trump to leave office in disgrace after the hours-long siege by his supporters on Wednesday on Capitol Hill. Although he only has 12 days left in the White House, they argued he was a direct danger to the nation. How precisely? Interesting, huh? Ms. Pelosi and other top Democratic leaders continued to press Vice President Mike Pence and the cabinet to invoke the 25th Amendment to wrest power from President Trump, though Mr. Pence was said to be against it. That actually sounds a little seditious, doesn't it? The Speaker urged Republican lawmakers to pressure the president to resign immediately, and she took the unusual step of calling General Mark A. Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to discuss how to limit Mr. Trump's access to the nation's nuclear codes, and then publicized it. If the president does not leave office immediately and willingly, the Congress will proceed with our action, Ms. Pelosi wrote in a letter to colleagues. At the White House, Mr. Trump struck a defiant tone, insisting that he would remain a potent force in American politics as aides and allies abandoned him and his post-presidential prospects turned increasingly bleak. Behind closed doors, he made clear that he would not resign and expressed regret about releasing a video on Thursday committing to a peaceful transition of power and condemning the violence at the Capitol that he had egged on a day before. Now, what's particularly fascinating about this is that there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever that Trump is even at the White House. In fact, this is what I believe happened. Okay, and this, of course, is why the Speaker of the House is so desperate to try to get him out of office, because this is happening. The American people didn't break. One thing that you're not seeing the media report on is the fact that Trump's approval rating rose in the wake of the storming of Capitol Hill. Trump's approval actually increased to among his highest levels after the storming of Capitol Hill. The American people approve of that. And that, of course, is what has Congress terrified. So all of the pressure from the media, all of the narrative, all of the attempts to characterize this as some sort of absolutely horrible, terrible event has completely failed. And so please don't send questions and super chats. I'm not going to address them now, and I'm not going to, and I can't see them later. So I'll just quickly address this one because you didn't know, but do you think white hats may have been mingled in with those who entered in the Capitol building? Of course there were. I mean, some of the people who were there were Antifa, and those were mostly the people who were, playing up for the cameras. But there were plenty of people there who were MAGA people. I've received emails from people who were there. And so, but what I believe happened, and I don't know, and this is just based on my observation of the entire thing, is that I'm pretty confident that the entire storming of Capitol Hill was simply a distraction. I don't know that that there was a plan for people to actually go into the building. It's always important to understand that there's a difference between strategic planning and tactical adjustment. Okay? And so the whole plan, Somebody said white hats set it up for some reason. The reason is very simple. President Trump needed a way to get himself and his family out of Washington, D.C. without the entire eyes of the media on him. And so, you know, it suddenly occurred to me as I was talking to some of my friends and colleagues that everyone who's looking at this and attempting to analyze it from a political perspective is completely missing the point, because we are already in a soft civil war. And so even though there's not really any violence or anything, you know, there have been wars where there hasn't been any violence at all for months. And so what the first rule of warfare is distraction. Think about the efforts that the Allies went to in order to distract from the fact that they were heading for Normandy. Look at even the amount of effort that they went to try to mislead where the Anzio landings were going to happen. And if you've read Unrestricted Warfare, then you'll realize that there's been a war going on. The U.S. has been on a war footing, whether it realized it or not, for the past probably 8 to 10 years. And President Trump is clearly aware of it. You know, what we're in is a 5th generation warfare. And so you can't look at events and analyze them at face value. You can't simply look at things and try to reach reasonable conclusions if you're simply looking at them from the point of view of, well, how is this going to play in Peoria? How it's going to play in Peoria is absolutely, is absolutely ridiculous. And all you need to do is just think about the situation. Because it was Eric Trump's birthday, they had an excuse for the entire family to get together. Now, normally, it would be very difficult for the president to easily leave and take his entire family with him, especially in light of the situation. You know, the other side, the deep state, Congress, the media, they were all focused on him like a laser. So what was the point of intentionally inviting million, 2 million, 2.5 million people? What was the point of inviting them all to Washington, D.C., and then immediately telling them to go home? Right? Was it to storm the Capitol? Of course not. That's ridiculous. And the videos were fake, right? So how do you explain those anomalies? This is what strategic analysis is all about. You need to look for the anomalies and then try to find a purpose for them. So the purpose of the whole rally and having everyone go to the Capitol was to focus the media's attention and focus everyone's attention on the Capitol. I don't know if it was part of President Trump's plan to let them in. Certainly, somebody intentionally let them in. But here's the point, and this is what you need to learn to distinguish. Why you need to learn to distinguish between strategy and tactics. It doesn't matter, because even if it was the black hats who let them in, the white hats took advantage of it. Sometimes your enemy makes mistakes. Now, what's really interesting is I figured this out on my own. I mean, I figured this out just thinking about it, because I was sitting there thinking, why? What was the whole point of the rally? What was the whole point of that? And then I realized it was a distraction. It was an obvious distraction. They pulled the entire eyes of the world to Capitol Hill. So then the obvious next question is, distraction from what? Was it important to get Nancy Pelosi's laptop? Of course not. So the only obvious distraction point was to be able to get his family out and to safety so that they couldn't be used against him. He knows he's dealing with awful people. He knows he's dealing with terrible people. This is why his family hasn't been seen, because they're in safe locations with the military. And what's really interesting is, so this is something that I've logically concluded. So I thought it was really fascinating that I got this email, and it was from a reader, and he just happened to mention this. This just came in today. Vox, during the Capitol Hill protest last Wednesday, and I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know if this guy is, in the media or how he had access to this, but during the Capitol Hill protest last Wednesday, I watched a multi-feed stream that included a feed showing a convoy of black SUVs drive up to a plane, stop, and let out the president and his wife. The two of them walked up to the steps and then up into the plane. The feed soon switched to another location, so I did not see the plane take off. Other than the doomsday plane rumor, I'll explain that in a minute, I found no mention of Trump getting on a plane that day, but I did watch it happen on that live feed. So we actually have a witness to somebody seeing Donald and Melania Trump boarding a plane during the storming of Capitol Hill. Somebody else said they saw that on Twitch as well. So what that tells us is that the media is almost certainly lying about Trump still being in the White House. He's not there. And we do know that what's it called, Nightwing 76, which is the military version of Air Force One. There's actually 4 of them, but it's a military command. It's a flying military command center. And so, so we have a pretty good idea that he flew away as soon as the event was over. Then he releases these videos. We know the videos are fake. We know the 2 videos are fake. In fact, now we have a pretty good idea that the Camp David isn't in Texas, so he's definitely not in Camp David in Texas. I don't believe he's at Camp David at all. So we know that he's not in the White House, but we also now know that those 2 fake videos that were released, the 2 fake videos that were released were almost certainly released by the pro-Trump forces. How do we know that? Because of what Nancy Pelosi just said. Think about this. Nancy Pelosi says, because we know this is a fake, there's no source. We know this is a fake part of the New York Times article. At the White House, Mr. Trump struck a defiant tone, blah, 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 blah. Behind closed doors, he made clear that he would not resign. And this is the key part that tells us that the video was not produced by people that have Trump under control. He made clear that he would not resign and expressed regret about releasing a video on Thursday, committing to a peaceful transition of power and condemning the violence at the Capitol. How do we know that's fake? Because that video punctures the narrative that Nancy Pelosi and the deep state need in order to try to create pressure for him to resign. That's why the fake videos were released in the first place, because they continued the illusion that the president is still in Washington, D.C., and they reduced the pressure that his enemies would be able to use against him. So now, do we know for sure this happened? Of course not. All we're doing, this is the fog of war. We don't know exactly what's happening, but what we do know is that you can't trust anything. Yeah, there's also that 17-second cut, which is a Q signifier, which would tend to, Q being the 17th letter of the alphabet, which would tend to indicate that it was the white hats who released it. You know, a lot of people were confused. There was some question about, well, you know, everybody with half a brain or who has the necessary technological chops knew that those videos were fake. I could see they were fake immediately. So the only question is why? You know, there's theories ranging from he died of natural causes to he's under duress, he's been captured and is under duress, to what, you know, I believed from the start is that he had used the Capitol Hill distraction to get himself and his family safely to secure locations. So, yeah, we're going to, not only are we going to find out on or by January 16th, I think we're going to have a pretty damn good idea within the next 3 days here. We'll definitely know. I've always said the only date that matters is January 20th, but the, you know, we might have a better idea. And we've already seen, you know, for those of you who are like babbling about Q-tards and this and that and the other thing, well, you don't know what's going on. You're not paying any attention. The red 1 signal was President Trump getting kicked off of Twitter. That happened yesterday. We're past red 1. So what's red 2? Red 2 is the emergency transmission and then power outages and communication systems going down. Well, the largest communication outage just took place in Pakistan, and we're already seeing indications that there's going to be a lot of them going to be a lot of them coming here. If you want to, we don't think, when I say we, I say the tech team behind InfoGalactic, we don't think that the entire internet is necessarily going to go down at the core level. What's much more likely is that it's going to go down at the DNS level. That's going to significantly disrupt everything, and it's very easy to do because Google is essentially in charge of all the DNS stuff. So if you want to be able to access my blog, some other important blogs, unauthorized, Social Galactic, etc., then go to the blog, and you can see that there's a way to communicate using direct DNS access. There's instructions on how to do that, and so, you know, if there's a link right there, Slapweasel put it up. Thank you. Anyhow, it should be possible to, if the outages are only at the DNS level, then you'll still be able to stay in communication. I would recommend that. So, so that's my theory, and we'll see whether it's correct or not. And you know, it's mildly amusing to me when people are saying, "Ha, this is just copium. This is just copium. It's just false hope. Vox is sure going to be disappointed. Okay, let's just get one thing straight. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I'm a lifelong Minnesota Vikings fan. I cried my eyes out when Drew Pearson pushed off and the Cowboys beat the Vikings in the first round playoff game. I watched them lose in the Super Bowl to the Steelers, lose in the Super Bowl to the Raiders, blow the 1998 NFC Championship game, blow the 2009 NFC Championship game. Okay. You think disappointment even enters in? There's nothing left inside to be disappointed. You know, I'm a child of Bud Grant. So you analyze, you hope, you have faith, and if you're let down again, so what? Not exactly the first time. But I'm just looking at yeah, Magister Ludi likens it to Bane versus Batman. You merely adopted the disappointment. I was born in it. I'll never forget watching a younger family member sobbing after Adrian Peterson fumbled twice before going into the end zone, and the Saints managed to stick around long enough to team up with the referees and squeak one out that they absolutely didn't deserve in overtime in 2009. And I said, congratulations, you're now officially a true Vikings fan. So anyhow, so this is what I think is going on. Just to be clear, the deep state has been trying to break you. The deep state has been trying to demoralize you. And you haven't been demoralized. You haven't broken. The courts failed, as we knew they would. The legislatures failed, as we knew they would. But in both cases, the necessary information was communicated. The evidence is out. Everybody knows what the situation is. And what they needed to do was to break the American people. And the American people haven't broken. Rasmussen reports shows that Trump's popularity and his approval rating is actually rising. It's actually rising while Congress is frothing at the mouth and shrieking about resignations and impeachments and all this other sort of thing. So let's talk about what we can do now and what we are doing. First of all, you've seen what's happening on Twitter. You've seen what's happening on Facebook. Okay, we're prepared for this. We've been saying build your own platforms. We've been saying get the platforms up. I'm not back on Gab. My account's always been there on Gab. I just put up a post there talking about how to access our sites if everything goes down. I'm not, I think Gab is doing great work right now. I think Andrew Torba is doing very important work right now. I have my own personal issues, so I'm not going to speak ill of them. Again, I encourage you to, if you're trying to figure out whether you want to use Gab or Parler, definitely use Gab, no question. But I'm not active on it. I'm on Social Galactic, so we have our own thing. Abbiamo la Cosa Nostra, and you're welcome to join that if you like. But Gab is the best free alternative, and it's certainly better than Facebook, Twitter, Parler, etc., etc., etc. So, what we've just introduced the version 1.1 of unauthorized.tv. We now have 1,800 videos up there. We've got 18 channels. Owen Benjamin's live streams, this Darkstream, Wrangler Stars video. Our newest addition is Razor Fist. The legend Chuck Dixon has 70 videos already up on comics. There's hundreds of gardening videos from Survival Gardenist David the Good. James Dalingpole has some stuff on there. Rachel Fulton Brown does the Forge of Tolkien, and she occasionally does some videos called Logos and History that she's done with E. Michael Jones. My box of versities are up there. Unbearables, Owen Benjamin's live shows, some Big Bear bonus streams, actually a lot of Big Bear bonus streams, some lifestyle stuff from Barcelona Life. We've got Castalia audiobooks up there. We've got a number of documentaries, including a new original one that's going to be coming out soon. We've also got the Junior Classics audio version, and some radio dramas called Pinkerton's Ghosts. So I think you'll find that it's actually it's more content than you can possibly go through in 3 months. And if you want to subscribe, you can do so for as little as $5 a month. And these sort of channels are the future. And also just keep in mind, you have full access to everything. It's not like you pay $5 to just to get Owen's content. If you pay $5 for a Feed the Bear membership, you get everything. If you pay $5 for a Razor Force membership, you get everything. And we're going to keep it that way. Let me just show you a little bit more of the stuff that we've got up there. This is the new catalog, and we just released this 1.1 version tonight. Last night. We still haven't turned on the mobile aspects of it yet, but that's going to be coming very soon. And so, for example, in the catalog view, you just see the 3 most recent videos. If you scroll down, you see all the channels and so forth. And then if you go to the actual channel itself, then you get a tiled image like this. So, this represents, well, you can see what, 15, or if you count the partials, 19 of Razor Fist's most recent videos. Some of them, in fact, are exclusive to UATV. I believe it's the Razor Force Offensives that are. So, and here's possibly the most interesting and important thing, is that anyone who joins, anyone who has a subscription to Unauthorized also gets access to Social Galactic, which is our private, curated, clean speech, Twitter, Parler, Gab, whatever, social media. And so we've got about, I don't know, 5,000 or so people on it. It's very active. There's thousands of posts a day. There's no shills. There's no despair. There's no blackpilling. It's a great community-focused social platform. We did not create it to compete with Twitter. We didn't create it to compete with Gab. We created it to allow actual positive community. And it's a little different, but you can ask that plenty of the people here on the Darkstream are active on Social Galactic. Just ask them. Is this the platform you pay for? Is it basically you pay for the least expensive way to do it is just get a subscription for $5 a month to unauthorized, and you'll get free access, the free bottom level access to Social Galactic. You get it has a shorter character limit. You can upgrade to different levels. We've got different levels. Or if you do for example, if you do a premium or a annual membership to unauthorized, then you get a silver membership, which gives you various abilities. We've actually got video posting abilities, but we don't really use them much. I know it works. I never post videos there. Owen is there, and he's probably much more likely to post videos than I am. So, my handle everywhere is VoxDay. So, but I just made a single post there because if Red 2 takes place and DNS goes down, I thought it was important for people to know about it regardless of where they are. Every tech group should be working on this stuff. Thanks very much, Alfred the Based. A based contribution indeed. Slapweasel, if you can, also one thing to keep in mind, we don't have automated invites. So if you subscribe to unauthorized, then you'll subscribe on one site, and then we will send you a invitation hopefully within 24 hours with directions to the actual login site. This is different, I understand. It's not how we intend it to work, but we will get the automation going eventually. But our main focus is always to ensure that everything stays stable and that everything stays up. You can't judge how we I have no idea what I don't run Social Galactic stuff. Don't ask me. It's bad enough to ask me tech support about stuff that I'm directly involved with, but stuff that I'm not is, ask somebody on Social Galactic. So, but the key thing is to understand is that when you have a alternative system like ours, they're always going to try to deplatform you where they can. So everything that you do has to be done in a anti-fragile manner. And platform anti-fragility is generally not conducive to ease of use. So just keep that in mind. Be patient. Things will get sorted out. Things will, if you're subscribed, we will get you on there. But just be patient. So anyhow, go ahead and fire away with the super chats now. I think we've covered everything that we needed to cover. See, this is a foolish thought. I feel like running to alt tech is just going to lead to conservative echo chambers, furthering the distance between the left and right. That's good. The left is evil. You should not have anything to do with them, much less allow them to control you. That thinking could not be more wrong. You know, cucks like you are going to get kicked off everything. Read the great piece, I'm going to link it tomorrow, by Alexander McCree. His site is called Contemplations on the Tree of Woe, and he has just does a fantastic job of of explicating this. Art and Sol says, could we have Cuckservative as a book club ebook? I thought we already did. I mean, we need to pick out a book for January anyhow. I think we actually might owe a book for December. Anyhow, we'll have to look into it. We're kind of behind on some of these things because so much is going on. But if we haven't done Cuckservative yet, we will. So, and also you can listen to, if you subscribe to Unauthorized, you can listen to like hours of at least a number of our books. I know Cuckservative is one of them that's up there. I think there might be, I don't know, 2-3 hours of it up there. And we're going to get a lot more of it up there soon. Again, it's difficult to get around everything. I have no thoughts on the cryptocurrency bull run. I'm not very interested in them. I try to stay out of casinos. Super chats must be nice. Thanks for everything, Vox. You are welcome, bushwhacking Tartaria with Berserker Bear. Sounds very ominous. Yeah, if you want an echo chamber, go to Parler. That's just a gatekeeper organization meant to like pen you in so they can keep controlling you even if you run away, you know? Paul Greenleaf says, I was at Lowe's today in a liberal area, overheard 3 different middle-aged normie couples mention Parler, Twitter ban, and Trump. Never heard people around around here talk like that out loud before. Yeah, people are waking up. M. Anthony Dunn, what was that doom thing you mentioned earlier when reading the mail you got about Trump having left DC? I think it's called the E1AB or something. The code for one of them is Nightwing 76. It's basically a military command plane. It's known as the Doom plane because it's armored and shielded so that even if there's nukes going off, the EMPs will not take it down. So it's generally considered to be a really bad sign if a president goes and boards it, especially with his family. So, Sea Staking sends supplies to the front. Thanks, Vox. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Gran Torino says, thanks for all your insights, Vox. You've been a rock for me. God bless all. A Nation, Not a Rabble by Darmud Ferreter. Nation and nationalism is what it's all about. All of the stuff that's taking place is being designed to destroy the heritage nation. The heritage American nation has been under assault since 1965. And this is possibly one of its last chances to restore itself to its rightful place in the United States in its current form. It doesn't mean that the nation will end. The nation is the people. The nation is not the state. The nation is not the pieces of paper that people pretend to take seriously. It's the people. Ron says, any additional information about the Italian government's involvement in the election fraud? Not much other than the affidavit about the arrest of the Leonardo IT guy, which I posted 2 days ago. I and a friend of mine who also lives in Italy have been paying close attention to the Italian newspapers. We tend to read different newspapers, and so there's been nothing on Repubblica. There's been nothing on the main paper out of Milano. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it's pretty clear that PD and Renzi are deeply involved in it. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Vatican was involved too. But we'll have to wait and see. What do you think of Steve Bannon? Uh, I have mixed feelings. I mean, sometimes he seems like he's a good guy. Sometimes he seems like he's, uh, you know, um, compromised and corrupted. Uh, I don't tend to uh, pay a lot of attention to what he says. You know, I mean, he's somebody that I want to like, but I don't trust. I guess that's the way that I would put it. But he's obviously very smart. Why did Pence show the silver coin? Must evil always reveal itself so it's on us if we accept it? Well, assuming that he is not playing a role, um, yes. But it's also possible, given the way that he shot Nancy Pelosi down, it is possible that he is still playing, that he's still one of the white hats. I'm not saying that he is. I was certainly, I mean, heck, I was the one who, posted a version of that meme myself. It certainly did look like Judas receiving his 30 pieces of silver, didn't it? I mean, obviously it was a challenge coin that he was being given because it was such brave work. But I honestly think the jury is still out on Pence. I do. Ralph Sheridan is very generous and says, first want to thank you and your incredible community here. I like that you said that because everything that we do is directly related to the community. You know, we've been able to accomplish far more in the last 5 years than I had accomplished by myself in the previous 15. That's because I finally learned to start relying on the people around me. And, if you can find a few reliable, trustworthy, intelligent, and talented people who share similar goals and objectives, you can really accomplish a tremendous amount. The community is the key. All of us. I mean, it's kind of funny. You know how important it is when a show like The Boys makes fun of it. I mean, I actually love it when Homelander shows up and everyone's cheering and he's like, no, you know who are the real heroes? You are. You are. Or, he'll show up in front of the soldiers and, you guys are the real heroes. They're the real heroes. Now, obviously, he's in the show, he's a sociopath and it's all fake. But remember, lies are always based on the truth. And so I find it intriguing that is the truth that they are seeking to twist and hide with their lies. So he says, you guys have been critical in my maintaining patience and faith through all this. Any chance you could explain Red 3? It's the only one I don't get at all. Keep it up, man. I believe Red 3 is the class, and I believe that is talking about the release of the declassified information, or rather the declassification of classified information. So we'll have to see. Let's see. And thanks again. That was very generous, Raul. If I'm wrong about what Red 3 is, would someone please, Slapweasel, would you please post what, don't everybody do it. Slapweasel, will you please post what Red 3 is so I can address that, in case I'm wrong. Ani wants to know, is there wine in that barrel behind you? Yes. It's a Spanish Tempranillo. And if so, where can I order one? They're all over here. I mean, you can literally buy them at the local store. They actually, the top comes off and then you can buy boxed wine that have these 3-liter plastic bags, and then you put it inside the keg because it looks nicer, I guess. But it is kind of fun. That's not actually what I'm drinking right now. Right now I have a very nice French 2013 Le Brun, which is Pays d'Oc. So It is from France. Normally they have like the location, but they just have the names. Well, oh, okay. Domaine de Crèce. So, um, but yeah, I don't drink a lot of French wine, but you see, it's 2013. Um, I was informed by Space Bunny that I was supposed to uh, over Christmas we tried to clear out all the wines that are reaching the shall we say end of life stages, and this is actually still quite good, so I'm happy about that. We did we did open up a couple of bottles. You'll see eventually if you're subscribed to Unauthorized. Um, the it was it was interesting. Um, Alfred the Bay said, Vox, what is the next piece of web infrastructure upstream of your projects that's needed to secure a right-wing presence on the internet? Um, I think the most important thing would be payment processing. That's the obvious place that they are going to be attacking. And because of the situation with China, it's unlikely that Alipay or some equivalent is going to be able to sweep in and prevent PayPal and MasterCard and Visa from uh, trying to cut people off at the knees. So, um, I mean, people have said, talked about, you know, a DNS server and that sort of thing. I think that Torba may actually even be trying to work on something like that. But the real issue, as always, is going to be the money. So, um, so something in that area. Vox, my wife has dual Russian U.S. citizenship. Would living in Russia be better than living in the U.S. 5 to 10 years from now? I think the jury's out. You know, if Putin is still going to be around for 10 years and the Trump plan fails, then quite possibly yes. Um, if Putin is out of power and doesn't have a good replacement, and the Trump plan succeeds, then the U.S. will probably be better. So I think that the jury is still out. Uh, let's see here. I've never talked to Brother Nathaniel or given any thought to him. Um, Luke Brumfield says, I left a chili cheese chilito in a cafe under a tree decorated with gamma skulls last night, and wouldn't you know it, a leather-bound copy of the Divine Comedy was there the next day. Well, you know, we like to honor our supporters. That's great. I hope I haven't seen it yet, so I hope the quality is what we wanted it to be. I mean, we actually thought that this was going to be our best book yet, so I hope that it is. Jason Rose says, thanks, Vox. Thank you, Jason. And let's see. Power outage at Vatican. Well, I think we might have our confirmation that the Vatican was involved with Leonardo and Renzi. So, let's see. Somebody says a super chat was missed. Larry Dynamite says, I clip up your show and put it to classical music and repost. The only comment I got was, can he play that bass guitar? Yes, I can play the bass. No, I cannot play it well. I can play like simple stuff, and you know, I mean, I actually played a little bit of bass in my band before Psychosonic, and but I've just never taken it too seriously. I mean, I like the bass, I can keep a rhythm, but you know, I'm basically at the one level above the average punk bassist would be my. I mean, the actual like classic punk bassist. You know, if you keep it to 3 or 4 notes, I'm your man. if you want something like that Italian guy, Reno, who plays the Bee Gees, um, plays the Bee Gees guitar line and the bass line and adds his own embellishments to it. You really need to listen to it. It's so awesome. Um, but if you're if you're on Social Galactic, you see me post his stuff occasionally. But I'm a big fan of Bo, the bassist from Baby Metal, and so I've always liked the instrument. I just never really took the time to get good at it. Kind of unfortunate, but c'est la vie. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, and pray for President Trump. Pray that he be given courage and wisdom, and we'll just wait, and hopefully we'll get much more clarity as to what's going on in the next day or three. So, in the meantime, I'm Vox Day, and this is the Darkstream.